It is time to get uplifted. I'm Allison Seymour. So right about now, we are about 1/4 way into 2026, and we know this is about the time when we stop making time for our New Year's resolutions and ourselves, and may even forget about them entirely and taking care of ourselves. So we are here to remind you that this is the year to focus on you and your personal growth. Former host of Fix My Life and New York best-selling author Iyanla Vanzant released her latest book. It's entitled Spiritual Hygiene, a practical path for clean living, inner authority, and divine freedom. I had a chance to speak with the spiritual technician about the message of her book and her new project, Iyanla, The Inside Fix, on the OWN network, just as she was getting ready to host an event in Oxon Hill, Maryland, that was geared towards giving people a space to heal and gain spiritual clarity.
Self-awareness, how to be aware of what you do, why you do it, how you do it, and the results that you're getting. To be honest with yourself about where you are, where you want to be, and how to get there. But most of all, in this world that we're living in, the big message is how to tell the truth without fear, how to accept the truth without fear, how to live your truth without fear, and how to clean up the inherited or the program, the habitual thoughts that take you into mindless activities, mindless actions, mindless relationships. I think those are the most important messages.
Right. I mean, and these are really practical tools, but this is hard stuff. This is hard to really go through and get to the other side. And what you do so masterfully as well is you give these little tools, things we can tuck away that we can pull out when we need to do that. So if if you can't get to this event on the 22nd, and for some reason you can't pick up this book, is there a group or a set of tools that all of us can use to try to live more authentically?
The first thing is learn how to breathe. Most of us sit around like this, sucking air. But learn how to breathe fully to get the oxygen moving throughout your body, to slow the brain down, to open the heart up. Learn how to breathe. This is a prescription that I've been given for the past 2 months to everybody. Stillness and silence. Spend 7 minutes 3 times a day for 21 consecutive days in silence and stillness, so that whatever's inside can begin to bubble up and you can let it go. 7 minutes 3 times a day for 21 consecutive days. It may take you 5 months to get that done.
Right, right. Because people are going to say, look, I don't have 7 minutes.
Right, absolutely. If you don't have 7 minutes to be with yourself, what you're doing in the world is probably not getting you what you want anyway.
You talk a lot about also the community connection. You have this initiative as well to bring together like-minded people. How do we get in on that? And also, why is that important to be with other people who are sort of in your same, where you are in your life and your progression and your journey?
You know, what I've discovered since COVID is people are lonely. I cannot tell you how many people write me talking about loneliness, where they feel disconnected, where they feel they're in this thing alone. So community connection is very, very, very important. Communal connection. Some people are separated from their families. People are divorcing their parents these days.
Yes, yeah.
So coming together with like-minded people. We have an entire movement called Awakening 1 Million, where people can come together online, and also the work that we need to do to fill ourselves up inside. So even if we are with ourself, that you don't feel alone or lonely. Awakening 1 Million.
I want to ask you about that. It does seem to be a trend. I've divorced my parents. I've done this, and I know by following you for many years that sometimes maybe you can't fix it, and that's okay because you have to fix yourself. But I wonder if a lot of these relationships are in fact fixable, and what you would say to someone who came to you and just said, I'm done. I'm throwing my whole family away. What's the answer?
Well, the problem is we've never been given the tools to know how to create sustain healthy, fulfilling relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us operate in our relationships by the tools and the principles, the practices that we inherited or picked up or were programmed with by what we saw going on within us. The biggest thing or the greatest tool for relationships is compassion.
Yeah.
Compassion. And we don't have compassion. We live in a law, not even law and order society, law and punishment. You break the law, you got to be punished.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say before you throw the relationship away, there's three things that you've got to ask yourself. One, is this an important relationship for me? Do I need to be connected to my mother, to my sister? Not their behavior, but their relationship. Because you can have a relationship with somebody and still not be in constant contact and communication. So, is the relationship important to me? That's number one. Number two, am I open to the possibility that this relationship can be healed? Because once you close down the possibility that the relationship can be healed, it's dead. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then the third thing is, how am I contributing to the condition of this relationship? And if you can clean up how you're contributing, whether you stay in constant contact or not, the relationship will exist in your heart. It's okay if you don't want to be with someone, but you can't throw them out of your heart. And that's what we don't know how to do.
You know, for fans of Fix My Life as I am, you talk a lot about, doing the work and starting there. If you have, if the trauma maybe started 2 generations ago with your grandmother, and that person doesn't want to really open up, what can we do right now in this moment to just say, well, I might not be able to reach that person. They might not be ready to deal with their past or their trauma, but I certainly want to move on for my kids or for who's to come behind me.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody in that situation?
I write a lot about that in spiritual hygiene.
Okay.
The inherited scripts, the inherited dysfunctions, the inherited breakdowns that we get. And I would say to you again, love the person. You cannot throw them out of your mind and your heart, but you can create physical, emotional, and energetic boundaries. But you got to know how to do that. And that's the work. That's the work. Right now on OWN, we went back into the 12 highest rated episodes of Fix My Life. And now on OWN, what we're doing is the inside fix, where I'm walking people through the shows, stopping the show, and saying, okay, this is what you're looking at. This is what's going on. How do you do it? So, whereas Fix My Life was you observe me doing it, the inside fix, I give you the tools to do it for yourself. And we've created a worksheet for each and every show. The show airs Saturday night at 8 p.m. on OWN. Watch those shows because
Right.
I'm dealing with relationships, families, mother daughter breakdowns, accepting the people you love as they are. We're walking through the 12 highest rated shows of Fix My Life.
And speaking of that, I have 3 daughters myself, and I know that you're a mother too, and you're very open with your personal pain and the things that you have gone through. What have you leaned on in your personal really trauma and sadness with the death of your youngest daughter?
Well, one of the first things that I had to accept about both of my daughters, the
Mm-hmm.
youngest one and the oldest
Mm-hmm.
one, is I infected them with my dysfunction. I had to tell the truth about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I was looking at in them was a part of myself, and a part of myself that either I didn't accept or I needed to heal or I needed to embrace. Here's what I learned is that I did my work to heal, leaving them with the choice to heal the way they wanted to. What I did for me impacted everything around me. So the more work I did on myself, not blaming them, not trying to fix them, change them, correct them, but the more work I did on myself, the greater impact it had on our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of losing my second daughter, what I leaned on was I know how to do this.
Hmm.
I've done it before. I've buried a child before. I know what to do. Unfortunately, what happens with us is everything we approach it as if it's new. I mean, you've been left before,
Sure.
you've been betrayed before, you've had your heart broken before, you've been in a tight place before. What did you do last time that will get you through this time? So that you don't and embrace or face every experience as something new. But what happens is we get into a difficult situation or a bad relationship or whatever, and we don't take notes. We
Right.
get stuck on the pain and the drama. How did you get through it last time? Do it this time and do it with more awareness, more truth, more compassion, and deep breathing.
Breathe. That's what I'm gonna breathe.
Yeah.
You are wonderful. I thank you so much for your time and just everything that you do. We just watch, and I actually am just in awe of how you get right to the nitty gritty, and how people's faces just change. I think the last time I saw one of the episodes was a funny lady Lunell, and how that personality
Yes.
changed just as soon
Yeah.
as that
Yeah.
work needed to be done. But you fixed that, and hopefully they and everybody else, they're on the right path now. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, and don't forget to breathe.
Breathe. Thank you, Iyanla. Are you feeling stuck in between? When we come back, we will feature 3 different life coaches to talk about how to rediscover you after the kids, careers, and the curveballs. Welcome back in. Well, personal growth, it does not have to be a solo journey. In fact, most of the times we feel like our best selves through support from our loved ones and guidance from professionals. Joining me now are 3 life coaches from across the DMV, each specializing in their own niche. Welcome to the show, Jessica Canty. Jessica focuses on helping women who struggle with self-doubt. Thank you for being with us.
Hi, Allison.
Hi, I appreciate you. And also, Angela Seraphin specializes in trauma-focused therapy. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for the
Appreciate you.
invitation.
And last but certainly not least, Anne Duval. She is a licensed counselor and also a Qigong wellness teacher. We're going to get into what that is if you don't know. Ladies, everyone, thank you for being here.
What an amazing opportunity.
Oh,
to be here.
excellent. I'm so glad you feel
yes.
that way. You know, for me, the first question is, so many of us, let's just talk about women right now. We don't ask for help. We just keep doing it. We keep motoring through when we need to stop, like Iyanla said, breathe and really assess where we are. Let me start with you. What's that big picture for not just women, but anyone who just is just feeling overwhelmed right now?
Okay, when we talk about being overwhelmed, a lot of time it's because we are handling OPP, like I like to tell my clients, and that is other people's priorities.
Yes.
So quite often we are making sure that the spouse is good, making sure that the children are good, making sure our parents are good, but we want to slow down and establish boundaries. Are we really being motivated by what's genuine to us, or fear, obligation, and guilt? Those are 3 major things that lead to overwhelm and burnout. So you really want to make sure you are cognizant of those 3 major things.
Fear, obligation, and guilt.
Yes, I wish I could have came up with that one, but I didn't
Yeah,
write it. It's
right.
actually fog. Because what
Okay.
happens with fog, it's difficult to see, it's difficult to navigate dangers around you when that
Right.
happens. So when we are motivated by fear, obligation, and guilt, we really can't hear that inner voice to tell us, actually, you're superseding the energy that you already have.
Right.
Slow down. Yeah.
Now, Angela, put on top of that trauma.
My goodness.
And you're just trying to navigate everything that's happened. Like sometimes I say before COVID and after COVID, right? And we could say that for a lot of things going on. But if you add in what you're already dealing with, maybe that's pressed down and you're feeling overwhelmed, what's your overall message during these times for people?
A lot of times what's happening now is going to bring up things from the past in ways that you're not even really aware of. And so part of it is just starting to notice is my reaction bigger than what I think the situation actually warrants?
Right.
Because that would be an indicator that there's something from the past that's coming up, and I think it's coming up for healing. A lot of people want to just push it back down, but it's coming up for a reason, and a lot of times if we can actually work our way through that past event, there's just so much freedom and lightness. And I actually love what you said about fog. I work a lot with people in creativity and the way that they visualize things, and fog comes up a lot when people are trying to like find their way through situations where they're just feeling really uncertain and not sure which direction to go.
And you know, you have introduced something new to me today, and perhaps to people who are watching. This is the Qigong wellness method. Can we say it like that? Or practice, a thousands years old, right?
That's right.
So we talked about like the trauma and other things that come up, and sometimes this comes up in your body, and through your practice, you're able to incorporate movement.
Right.
In helping. Can you explain what Qigong is and how it helps in these times of maybe feeling like you're drowning?
Yeah, so it is a practice that's, as you mentioned, it's 4,000 years old. It is a movement practice that's, you can do it as a moving meditation. It can be still, it can be lying down. And it's something that helps you feel energized. It helps you feel clear in your mind. So you can imagine doing something like this to help cultivate resilience, to even know where it is, like you're saying, we need to begin when we're addressing any time in our lives, any stage of our lives. So we're not just our thoughts, we're our bodies as well. And because it's a nature-based practice as well, you can relate to it by changing your environment. So what you change outside, you change inside, and vice versa. And that's something that we're all talking about here.
Jessica, let's talk. You specialize in talking about self-doubt.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that especially as we age, a lot of women talk about, I hate for this to turn into a women's circle, but it's my perspective.
And Women's History Month, we can do that.
That's Women's History Month. Though we start to feel almost invisible, or we feel like society doesn't see us like perhaps they used to. What's your advice to those feeling that self-doubt? Because it's been my, I don't know, experience that if that self-doubt piece isn't handled, it's very difficult to show up in the world.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So when I work with my clients who happen to be high-achieving women, who have it all together when it comes to career, all together when it comes to family, self-doubt creeps in. And it's usually for three big reasons. One is shoulds. As women, we get shoulds all the time. You should do this, you should do that, or you reach a certain age, you shouldn't wear that because that's not appropriate. So addressing your shoulds, addressing that fear, obligation, and guilt, and then stop making excuses for others, because we often doubt ourselves. Well, they didn't really mean that, or maybe maybe I'm being the mean girl. So afraid. All of the women I work with are so afraid of being the mean girl or being too selfish. So self-doubt really asks, am I doubting myself, or am I aligning myself with a narrative that someone else has for me?
This is hard to do.
It is.
This is not easy work.
That's why you got experts here.
This is not easy work.
Absolutely, absolutely.
What are some of the signs as far as trauma goes, Angela, that it shows up in our life, in our workplace? Does it show up in ways that are hurting us, that perhaps if it's unrecognized, that, you know, hey, maybe this is a response to something that happened or that I've been through? How does it show up?
It shows up in so many different ways. It definitely shows up in relationships, shows up in reactivity to what people are saying, or even what the tone of voice that someone has. That's happened to me yesterday with my husband. I'm like, oh, what's that thing that's coming up for me? So could do that. It can be body pains and just things that don't really have a medical reason behind them. A lot of times is that pain that our body is just holding on to.
So how do you begin to fix it?
Well, recognizing that it's something that you want to fix, and then a lot of times slowing down and taking inventory. A lot of times, like when people first come talk to me, we spend the first couple of sessions just telling the story. And so many people walk away from just that going, oh my goodness, I feel so much better. And there's still lots of work to do. There's still lots of work to do, but it at least like lets us see all the patterns. It's like dumping out a jigsaw puzzle and starting to sort things out and figure out what's there, what am I dealing with.
Interesting. So Anne, with Qi Gong, what are some of the common things that you hear in your practice when people come to you?
Well, I mean, I do address all kinds of concerns in all different ages, and it is definitely a tool that can be used to help cultivate, like I was mentioning before, resilience. It can be anything really, because what you're doing is you are connecting with where am I? What's in my body? It's a self-awareness that we begin with. And so to be able to then say like, well, where are you holding it in your body? How can we come up with a practice that you might be able to take with you and help cultivate what's called qi or energy, so that then you'll feel calmer, able to respond to things differently. And like I mentioned, it's internal and external. Because if you're able to just sit underneath a tree and breathe, suddenly you're just feeling differently. So that awareness, it's so simple, but it is part of a practice that's ancient, and they knew something that we didn't know before we even learned therapy.
Absolutely. We talk a lot about, and Allison talked about it too, breathe. But there's something really beyond that, it's breath work. And you hear it, right? Anytime you, look, I must have listened to about, let me count it up, 15 million meditations in my lifetime. And it all begins with the breathing. So how far does that go?
Oh, it goes very far. I mean, there are lots of different kinds of breath, even in Qigong, right? But when you can connect with the breath, it regulates your nervous system. I mean, this is something that we all know. But there's another connection with breath when you're out in the world, okay, and you're connecting with nature. It's what they call bidirectional. Suddenly you're taking in, people talk about going into the trees and suddenly you're breathing with the trees. There is something to that. And so just to help someone feel what their breath is like from the beginning of the session to the end of the session, they're probably going to take away something that they're going to be able to, incorporate at home.
So fascinating. The mind, body, soul connection, it's all there. Believe it or not, we're almost at the end of our time together. So let me just ask you, Jessica, what is the one thing that people can take home today if they're feeling like, if they're in middle of an imposter syndrome episode, they don't deserve to be there, they're thinking, where am I in my life? What is the one thing that you would tell people watching?
Well, you've got to dispel the myth that you need more clarity. You actually are the expert at who you are in your life. So there's no space that you could imposter or be a fake of who you are. You are chosen for those spaces.
Unless you're being fake.
Unless you're being fake. Now that's a whole other session. We can come back.
Where's the camera?
Because
that was a bar. Are you being fake?
Are you being fake? And if you're noticing patterns or people are saying that to you, then you need to talk to a professional, because that means that they're noticing that there's not some genuineness that's coming up, and you want to operate in authenticity, because if not, it's hard to catch your breath. It causes those trauma triggers when we're not operating in authenticity. But I would say get the help that you need to identify the patterns, to decide what situations do I need to stay in, what situations do I need to leave, and how am I choosing the people that are in my life.
That authenticity.
Absolutely.
Like, I think there's so much happiness in authenticity, but it's difficult because, as you said, people say, don't do this, don't do that. Okay, Angela, let me ask you here this question. If you feel like you're watching and you've pressed something down, a lot of people, we said earlier, are divorcing their families, their parents, or what have you. But if you feel like you need to take that next step, what would you tell a friend who maybe needs to come and talk with someone? Because they've been trying to manage it all this time and it's not working anymore. Right.
Yeah, I definitely would encourage people to think about like what kind of options they would like, because there's talk therapy, there's body movement therapies, there's certainly the breathing therapies. So if you don't know, then I mean you can do an AI search, right? ChatGPT is really good at that now. But certainly look for someone who's trauma focused. If you know that there are cutoffs in your life, or there are things that you just can't even get yourself to think about because it's just too painful, then you definitely want to go trauma focused.
You're worth it, right?
Absolutely.
You wasted too much time with this nonsense. I believe that you're worth it. And just let me ask, as we close out this portion now, what would you tell people if they're just feeling disconnected? I think a lot of us are just feeling out of our bodies because we're trying to manage this and that or whatever. How would you have us just pull it all and center back to who we are?
Center, I like that. Of course, I would
come and see you.
Okay. I would say, you know, getting out to nature is pretty important. You can get to your authentic self if you can just be in the stillness. Listen in when you're with the breath. There is a still small voice in each one of us. You can reach that authentic connection. And there's so many modalities to help heal. So like we're saying, there are lots of resources, but in the end, we make meaning when we're able to connect with who we really are. And any one of these practices, therapies can help us get there.
I love that so much. This is Jessica Canty. Thank you. Appreciate your time today. This is Ann Duval. Thank you so much for being with us today. And Angela Seraphin, I appreciate your time today. Hopefully, maybe like we've encouraged somebody to, you know, take that first step to get to that authentic self. Ladies, thank you. Well, we have spent the last 25 minutes sharing resources to help you feel like your best self, but we want to take this a step further and teach you how you can make a huge difference in your child's self-esteem and healing journey. Here's Mandy Gaither with more.
No matter your age, self-love isn't always easy. And for children who are still learning about the world and their place in it, it can be especially hard.
Self-esteem is not something kids are just born with. It is something that we can build in them.
Dr. Ariana Howitt with Nationwide Children's Hospital says factors like bullying, lack of choices, adults providing too much help, and comparisons can cause kids to be hard on themselves.
Adults have a big role to play in building kids' self-esteem from the moment they're born, from the moment they're very little to their teenage years.
To foster self-love in children, Howitt says parents can teach them to talk kindly to themselves, talk them through negative thoughts, and praise them when you notice they've done something well. She says to also model that.
Give them lots of love yourself so that they learn to do it back too.
Next, Howitt says to build independence in children by giving them chores or tasks at home, which can help them see they can do hard things. And monitor their connection to others. Friendships can impact how a child feels about themselves. For older children, so can social media. Howitt says to limit exposure and talk to them about it.
What you're seeing on social media is not real. That's just the highlights. You're not seeing what that other child may be struggling with.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Thank you so much for joining us on Get Uplifted. And if you want more, watch my Get Uplifted stream right here on WUSA 9+. And you can get your daily dose of Get Uplifted on WUSA 9 mornings. Stay uplifted.